Welcome to the channel viewers, Dr. J.W. Ayoub, Theologist. Like and subscribe to help the channel. Subscribe and comment to educate me. Subscribe and share to help somebody else. The Cost of Legislative Experimentation, Episode 7. The National Compensation Ledger. The National Compensation Ledger. Viewers, in the previous episode, I examined how courts became Parliament's repair mechanism. Citizens, organisations, businesses and women increasingly found themselves financing legal battles to resolve questions that many believe should have been settled before the 2013 framework, entered public life. Most people think compensation begins with money. It doesn't. Compensation begins with recognition. Recognition that a cost existed. Recognition that someone carried it. Recognition that the burden did not disappear simply because it was distributed. And the deeper question facing Australia is now no longer whether conflict occurred. The conflict is visible. The deeper question is who paid for it and how much did it actually cost? Well, every major public policy decision produces ledger. Some costs are visible, others remain hidden, others remain hidden. Some appear in government budgets, others appear in private lives. And this episode examines the possibility that Australia accumulated a national compensation ledger following the legal changes and rights conflicts that emerged over the past decade. Not a financial ledger alone, a legal ledger. A social ledger, a psychological ledger, a democratic ledger, a trust ledger. Because every unresolved conflict eventually produces an invoice. The first ledger was legal. Court proceedings cost money. Defending legal positions costs money. Seeking clarification costs money. Organisations facing complaints incur costs. Businesses facing litigation incur costs. Individuals defending themselves incur costs. Lawyers, hearings, submissions, appeals, compliance reviews, policy revisions, risk assessments and administrative responses all require resources. Even where cases are ultimately successful, the cost remains. And victory does not refund years. So my point is, the legal system records costs long before it records verdicts. The second ledger was institutional. Schools revised policies. Sporting bodies revised policies. Government departments revised policies. Employers revised policies. Service providers revised policies. Consultants were engaged. Training programs expanded, risk management systems multiplied, entire layers of bureaucracy emerged to navigate uncertainty. Most citizens never see the costs, yet taxpayers ultimately finance many of them. And what appears to be a legal question frequently becomes an administrative expense. The point is, ambiguity rarely remains philosophical. It eventually becomes operational. The third ledger, viewers, was personal. Some women withdrew from public debate. Some remained silent. Some left organisations. Some abandoned advocacy. Some chose not to challenge the decisions. Some avoided controversy entirely. Others carried years of stress, uncertainty, reputational attacks, public criticism, or professional pressure. And these costs rarely appear in annual reports, yet they are among the most significant. Because trust, confidence, dignity, and psychological security possess value even when government struggles to measure them. And my point is, the most expensive consequences are often the ones that never appear on a balance sheet. The fourth ledger was democratic. Big public confidence declined. Citizens increasingly questioned institutions. Parliament promised certainty. Citizens experienced conflict. Authorities promised clarity. Citizens encountered contradiction. And the distance between official assurances and lived experience created something dangerous: distrust. And distrust creates costs of its own. When confidence weakens, social cohesion weakens. When social cohesion weakens, governance becomes harder. The damage spreads beyond the original issue. And my point is, the most destructive public debt is often the debt owed to trust. The final ledger is the accountability ledger. This is the ledger Parliament cannot avoid forever. If legislative decisions contributed to foreseeable conflict, who carries responsibility? If citizens absorb costs that should have been anticipated, who acknowledges them? If citizens absorb costs that should have been anticipated, then rights become unstable. So who is going to restore them? If harm occurred, who examines redress? Because accountability begins with a simple act, not compensation, recognition. Recognition that a burden existed, recognition that citizens carried it, recognition that government decisions have consequences beyond the day they are passed. And the point is, no compensation framework can begin until a nation first admits a cost was incurred. So this is the final consequence statement for this episode. Every conflict leaves a ledger. Some costs are measured in dollars, others in years, others in trust, others in opportunity, others in silence. Australia may ultimately decide that no compensation is warranted. Australia may ultimately decide that redress is necessary. But before either conclusion can be reached, a more fundamental question must be answered. What did this actually cost? Because societies that refuse to count the cost of public policy often repeat the same mistakes under different names. And accountability begins when the ledger is finally opened. I'm Dr. J.W. Ayoub, Theologist. Like and subscribe to help the channel. Subscribe and comment to educate me. And subscribe and share to help somebody else.